are these people?
From one legend to another legend, let's talk about the funeral of Nasrallah, shall we?
Yes.
Big things happening this week. I'm sure a lot of you saw clips and pictures and things like that. I wanted to wait till it was done, like let the dead have a bit of peace, right? Before we talk about what it means and the overall arching things and what it means for the future and stuff like that. So, friend of the show, Vanessa Beeley, we've had her on. Go check out our segments with her. Writes, when the world held its breath, the funeral of Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah. Again, Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah and Sayyed Hassan Safayin passed to their final resting place, but their resistant remains. And apologies for any butchered names. I'm doing my best with my, gringo tongue. So there are some events that mark us for life. The assassination of Hezbollah Secretary General Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah was an event that cast a dark pall over the entire region as soon as it was announced. I was in Syria at the time, and it was a palpable gut punch for the Syrians who had fought for their liberation from Zionist, US, UK, Turkish, Gulf state proxy terrorist groups for more than a decade. Hezbollah has been instrumental in that war of liberation. Sayyed Nasrallah has been a voice that all regional resistance members had looked to for guidance, strength, and the wisdom that would bring victory against oppression. The loss of this icon of victory over tyranny created a wound that does not heal, and it left a void that cannot be filled, at least not for a considerable length of time. For many who attended the funeral, it was the crushing of the last hope that Sayyid would miraculously reappear and mock his Zionist assassins. If only. In the morning, I walked with some friends for more than an hour to the outskirts of the stadium where the funeral ceremony would take place. As we moved closer to the venue, cars carrying the yellow Hezbollah flags were stopping and offering a lift. Even at 7 a.m., the crowds were immense. The stadium had been filled 50% within 10 minutes of the doors opening at 6 a.m. Mourners from all over the world had flown in and slept in freezing temperatures outside the doors all night to ensure their place inside. We clambered up onto the concrete walls outside the stadium and watched as the car parks and surrounding roads began to fill with the yellow flags and crush of people coming to pay their last respects to their universal father, guide, leader, and confidant. So here are those flags she mentions, right? I just want to give you a, that's quite a bit of folks, So
yeah,
that's again, I think something like 1.4 million was the number I heard, and that was probably a conservative estimate. So Vanessa was not the only person from the West at the event, and those I have spoken to since have all remarked on the incredible groundswell of grief and collective sorrow. Something you will never see in the West because we do not have any leader who represents the will of the people or epitomizes the humanity we all respond to when we are finally confronted by it. Not in the halls of Parliament or Congress, but in a region long dehumanized and discarded by those who rule us and take us to endless wars against these generous, kind, and courageous people. So
yeah, it's funny she mentions that because I remember it makes me think of when Jimmy Carter passed away. Now, I was affected by it directly because the National Cathedral where they had his service is near my job. So I forgot that there was actually going to be, there was a funeral that day, but I remembered from the traffic, trying to get around the area. But it makes me think, even for Jimmy Carter, there wasn't a big pomp and circumstance for him. It was just held in the cathedral. The only thing that I can remember that is relatively close would be the death of Princess Diana in the UK and the death of
MJ,
Queen Elizabeth.
That's another one.
Or MJ. That's the thing. Here, a celebrity will get that kind of pull. which says more, which I think really speaks to how fucked up
Mm-hmm.
we are in this country, that we
Correct.
value our celebrities more than our actual politicians.
Yeah.
So it just kind of makes me think of like what happened if like when Bernie passes. Like,
No one's gonna be
will
there.
that now the thing is, like, if he did everything right in the way that he should have and talked about that he was gonna do, I'm sure there probably would have been a lot more um pomp and circumstance for him. But
Yeah.
I doubt it now. Valiantly doubt it now. But yeah,
So
like, but able to pull like over 1 million people for a political leader is not heard of here.
yeah. So friend of the show, Fiorella, I can't begin to describe the words elude me and do no justice. It was life changing to witness the spirit of resistance that lives in the souls of people who were there to celebrate icon Sayyed Nasrallah. Video when we entered the stadium, the energy was surreal. So notice what Fee decides to film. Just saying, the people, the actual event.
Right.
So Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah was not only a great leader, phenomenal human, military general, and martyr, but an enigma of the entire resistance, not just here in Lebanon, but in Iran, Iraq, Palestine, and beyond. And his people came to bid him a see you later. And you could feel this deep force of energy in the entire stadium. I got asked why I thought Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah was so successful as a leader and such a father figure for people. I answered that he was everything the so-called leaders in the US are not. He was not arrogant, but humble, not egocentric, but altruistic, truthful, and not a liar. He focused on his people rather than himself, and this is precisely the qualities we do not embrace in the West. We can't begin to comprehend why almost 1 million people, an entire country, would stop everything to bury their leader, but if you see and feel it, everything makes sense. So Vanessa continues, from one vantage point, she watched one lady with 2 children, a daughter and son, as the ceremony progressed. Her tears fell freely as she held the photo, presumably of the child's father. A martyr in the latest Zionist war against Lebanon, her daughter buried her head in her mother's lap. Her son, a little older, held back his tears to comfort his mother. Everywhere around us, the grief, the loss, and the anger was on full display. Journalist Marwa Osman pointed this on her Telegram channel one day after the ceremony. So we'll watch this little bit from her.
Yeah.
So, you know, and she said this made her cry just seeing all the people here, you know.
Right.
So, but I think that's the thing that a lot of Westerners don't focus on is the actual individuals, you know, the collective of them.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, no, I'll argue we do, but not in
not in the
depth.
same way. No,
Like we do it. No, like we do it, like, you know, like the inauguration.
yeah,
That's when we will focus on stuff like that.
or
But
like the
not-
Super Bowl. That's when you'd see something like
Right.
this. Yeah.
Right.
So not people openly crying for the loss of a, you know, government leader.
Right.
So
Like if when Biden dies, people are gonna come out for like this for him? No.
no,
So
other than to maybe throw eggs. So
right.
but that was that. So it has been admitted that senior officials in the Trump Zionist administration were keen for the Zionists to bomb the funeral, where more than 1.4 million people had gathered to pay their last respects. Wow, what stand-up people we are. From all over the world, Yemeni resistance leaders were among the potential targets designated by the Washington Hawks. There were rumors from various Yemeni and Iranian social media accounts that Israel decided against such action when they received messages from intermediaries that Yemen and Iran had missiles trained on their occupied territories, which would be launched should Israel commit such a crime. I mean, it reminds me of the funeral of Shireen Abu Akleh, where we literally had to kick through IDF with her casket, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, despite the Emirates and Air France cancellation of flights to Lebanon on 23rd February and flights from Istanbul being subject to unusual long delays, the turnout was indicative of the support for the resistance against the Israeli genocide in Palestine, the land grab and devastation in southern Lebanon, and the annexation of Syrian territory since the international coup toppled the government in December. Israel did fly over the ceremony at low altitude twice. The roar of the jet engines was immediately drowned by the roar of the crowd. 1.4 million voices raised against the Zionist supremacists. No fear, even from the children whose fists were raised in defiance. So, Fee caught this. Apart from attacking southern Lebanon, the Israeli Zionist regime flew their fighter jets twice close to the funeral ceremony. The failed intimidation made people respond defiantly. Here's that moment outside and inside the stadium. No. Go back. Come on. Do the thing. But I think she gets like one more angle here. And I mean, if I could translate, that's probably what? Fuck Israel. Just guessing. So, but again, shoes raised in defiance. So, I mean, I feel you. Bring back that. So again, I wanted a just slight different angle here. So this is Abu Ali's reaction. We'll get to him in a bit. So bodyguard of Nasrallah, for lack of a better term. Literally stands up. Like, so, but on September 28th, Israel claimed to assassinate Haji Abu Ali, Sayyed Nasrallah's personal guard, calling him an Israeli spy. Today at the funeral, he's alive. Resistance outsmarts Zionist lies yet again. So, funny that. In many ways, this demonstrated the impotence of force against an ideology that does not die with each martyr, but lives on in every fiber of every being that has dedicated themselves to an end of occupation, apartheid, and the disenfranchisement of their people in the region. The following video from Hopio Media gives an idea of the scale of the ceremony. So, more video. Yay.
Hundreds of thousands of mourners gathered in Beirut to bid farewell to Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah and his late successor Sayyed Hashim Safi-Eddin. The area around the stadium was overflowing, with organizers estimating 1,400,000 people attended the funeral of Hezbollah's late leader.
مثل ما هو حبنا احنا بنحبه واللي جينا وهي يعني شيء صغير نعمله نجي نكون هون كرماله.
Israeli warplanes performed a low flyby in a failed attempt to scare the crowds who chanted back at them.
With our task force.
Yeah.
سمحت السيد مش حيلا إنسان
Isn't just any person.
إنه
He didn't only do his duty and leave. No.
سمحت السيد هو
Sayyid was our father, was our soul, he's our dignity and pride.
Sayyed Nasrallah led Hezbollah for around 30 years, until his martyrdom on September 27, 2024. When Israel used over 80 tons of bombs to assassinate one man, people from all over the world attended Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah's funeral procession, taking him to his final resting place near Beirut's southern suburb.
So, yeah, I mean, quite a gathering for sure. And fuck Israel for the intimidation. So, again, I said I'd get to Abu Ali. So, when the Zionist jets passed low over the ceremony, there was one man who flung himself on the coffin of Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah to protect him in death, as he did for 3 decades in life. Abu Ali is described by enemy. So, but here he is, you know, let's do this. How about that? I mean, he's been at this for a while. So, been there alongside Nasrallah for quite a minute. So, Vanessa continues. Abu Ali Jawad Hussein Khalil, I hope I got that right, is the son-in-law of Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah and his chief security officer. He was also known as Sayyid Sheriff, or Sayyid Shield, due to his exceptional dedication to protecting the Secretary General of Hezbollah. Not only is the son-in-law of the Secretary General of Hezbollah, but he is also responsible for the first line of security protection for Sayyid Hassan. He holds a position of complete trust within Hezbollah's leadership and is one of the 19 elite commanders tasked with ensuring Sayyid Hassan's safety. Despite his young age, he is the top due to his extraordinary loyalty and ability to execute highly sensitive missions. So, you know, again, he's been at this for quite a bit. So, good on him. But anyway, one second. Much better.
9 out of 10 lights to purple.
Thank you. Abu Ali is one of Hezbollah's most important special commanders and one of the closest figures to the leaders of the resistance. He has faced multiple assassination attempts and plays a critical role in Hezbollah's security operations. His relentless commitment to protecting Hassan has earned him the title of the Shield of the Leader, or the leader's armor within Hezbollah. For years, he's played a key role in ensuring Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah's safety through meticulously designed security plans despite persistent Zionist efforts to assassinate him. Abu Ali has successfully kept Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah out of harm's way. The Zionist regime had previously claimed that Abu Ali was martyred in an assassination attempt on Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, but in reality, he survived and continued his mission. However, on one of the rare occasions when he was separated from his constant companion, he was left behind in the convoy of martyrs, a loss that was deeply felt by Sayyid Hassan's closest aide. For the last 15 years, Abu Ali has been considered the most important security figure in Hezbollah, tasked with protecting Hassan Nasrallah. This makes him a prime target for the Zionists. So, Abu Ali is known for his meticulous planning and seriousness in missions in Lebanon. It is said no one has ever seen Abu Ali smile. His close relationship with Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah is evident as Sayyid Hassan spends most of his time with him, both day and night. Abu Ali's security advice is always taken seriously, and he has completed advanced security training, making him one of Hezbollah's most skilled operatives. Well, Collin, some say we do get to see him smile. So the Yemenis gave him a gift for his service, and we'll see that exchange.
هدية من الوفد الإعلامي اليمني عموما ومن خصوصا من الأخ أحمد حسن زيد، هذا ابن الشهيد حسن زيد وزير يمني تم اغتياله. هذا هدية.
Look, that's a smile. That counts. That counts right there. He's smiling. Look at that. And I don't know where to get one of these. I definitely haven't earned it nearly as well, but I would love to have one just to honor these people. As a big knife nerd, please and thank you. If anyone can tell me where to get one, and like a official one, thank you very much.
You have a birthday coming up, so
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Shout out to the Yemenis who are still doing it. So, to continue in Lebanon, rumors spread about the martyrdom of Abu Ali Khalil in the pager bombings. This news was neither confirmed nor denied by Hezbollah's official sources at the time. However, his sudden appearance at Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah's funeral refuted the news. In a defining moment, Abu Ali was with Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah when he attained martyrdom. He himself was badly injured, but did not try to leave the battlefield. Later, he recovered from his injuries, but he remains deeply affected by the loss of his leader. So, speaking of pager attacks, right? This says the artificial hand of a veteran. I found out later this is actually the artificial hand of a victim of the pager attacks, right? So, this is essentially him making sure that that hand still gets to touch Nasrallah and pay homage. So, good on him, So, and he did stuff like this all day. He was there all day like that. So, to this day, Abu Ali carries the sorrow of being the last survivor from the martyrdom convoy of Hassan Nasrallah. May Allah protect him. So, Vanessa continues, one of the most poignant elements of the ceremony was the moment the Zionist pager attack victims came to pay their respects and to grieve the loss of their leader, who had stood with them through every hardship they had faced in the long war against this threat to their very existence. The majority lost their sight, their faces scarred and burned, their hands, missing fingers, were completely amputated, their own disability forgotten in the grief, their dignity intact despite the ravages of an entity that has no regard for humanity. As the vehicles transporting the coffins of Sayyid Nasrallah and Safieddine moved to the final burial site for Nasrallah, the crowds moved with them. The hours it took to arrive at the final resting place, testament to the people not wanting to let them go, people weeping, clinging to the last physical imprint of a leader who has never deserted them and has always been their safe place in the harshest of times. The chants of allegiance echoed throughout Beirut during the ceremony and affirmed the continuance of the resistance. I'll butcher this. Labaika ya Nasrallah, at your service, Nasrallah. We remain committed to the pledge, Nasrallah, and far from us is humiliation. Were the chants. As journalist Miriam Charabadi stated in her latest article covering the funeral, no words of consolation will ever suffice. Our only solace is in continuing the struggle and standing firm upon this path until the day the sun of liberation rises over our land. So liberation, the goal, correct? As we've said many a times. So in closing, the following eulogy from Marwa Osman expressed perfectly the chasm of grief left behind by the final departure of Hassan Nasrallah from his earth. Sayyid's legacy is one of a journey that does not end until liberation is achieved and dignity restored, and it is a legacy that will not die with the frail human body, because those that follow the coffin are the ones who will take up the torch of resistance and ensure that it is never extinguished. So, is it going to give me the video? I do have the video. Closing thoughts before I get to that?
I mean, just wow.
Yep.
I mean, I would love in our lifetime to have a political leader in this country that would move people in that way to pay their final respects like that. But as I said earlier, we give more play for our celebrities than we do our politicians, and that really should say something.
Yeah.
Honestly, that should say a lot about to our politicians, that more people will be willing, again, people will go broke to see her in concert.
Yep.
Than to see Biden give his last respects if they ever had the chance. Like, if you had to ask people, which would you do? I'm sure most people would say, I'd rather see Beyonce, and all that kind of bullshit. Which, fine, but I think honestly that should embarrass a lot of our politicians, that they don't do anything worthy enough for people to acknowledge their life. But I think, again, given the position that they're in, you're there to ideally better lives. And if you're not trying to better my life, well, then fuck you. You can rest in piss.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
as many people online kind of say, especially for people in government who are especially heinous. But
Yep.
yeah, we don't see that here to that degree for political leaders or thought leaders who have made an impact, good impact, for the benefit of their country.
Well, we'll let Maro Osman finish it out. She's an icon of the resistance here in Lebanon and globally. The heart of a lioness and the steadfastness of resistance runs through her veins. Who better to express the profound loss of a giant among men? Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah.
Although I have spoken many times before about the passing of the leader of the martyrs of the resistance, and despite the undeniable evidence confirming his martyrdom as truth rather than illusion, a part of me still clung to a lingering hope. I wished against all reason that Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah was still alive, that he had merely left for a brief time to recover, and that he would soon return, just as before, to lift the burdens from our souls with his radiant presence, to silence doubt with his reassuring smile, and to quell the voices of the slanderers and oppressors with his unwavering words. Sometimes we need to hold on to such hopes, perhaps even illusions, just to survive. Our souls are not made of iron or steel to withstand every trial. They are not unyielding enough to endure an unbroken tide of sorrow stretching back decades. Like all human beings, we rejoice and grieve. We find solace and suffer, and we desperately seek something to soothe our wounds and ease the way of this unforgiving life. From the moment the funeral of Sayyed Hassan Nasrallah, leader, guardian, and eternal symbol was announced, his lovers and followers faced their most difficult trial. They had long feared this day since the enemy, maddened by its own hatred, launched its most ferocious assault. But expectation is one thing, and facing reality is another. The pain resurfaces, the grief intensifies, and we are left confronting an image we never imagined we would witness, one we desperately wish we could escape. Today, tomorrow, and for every day to come, the tears of his devoted ones will flow. Their hearts will tremble with sorrow like never before. The grief we feel now is unlike anything we have ever known. This pain is unbearable, this loss irreparable.
Well, my hearts go out.
Yeah.
Rest in power. All right. Well, as you might imagine, talking about leaders of Lebanon might get us demonetized. So you could scan that QR code on your screen, go to ko-fi.com/indienewsnetwork. Or it's always in the link in the description below if you want to help keep the lights on here. But we'd rather you like and subscribe, hit the share button, leave a comment, let us know what you think. How do you feel about what happened here? But otherwise, thanks for watching.